What happens when imagination runs faster than budget and ambition outraces logic? The 1970s were full of filmmakers who tried to reach the stars but forgot to tighten the bolts. These weren't blockbusters, they were cinematic experiments that tripped, fell, and somehow stuck the landing in the cult film Hall of Fame. From melting astronauts to disco-era robots, these are the strange, wonderful, and gloriously confused sci-fi creations that failed so hard they looped back around into greatness. Number 12. Laser Blast, 1978. It started with a boy, a laser cannon, and way too much ambition. Laser Blast was supposed to be America's answer to the space boom of the late 70s. Instead, it became a crash course in what happens when enthusiasm meets chaos. The story follows Billy, a lonely teen who discovers an alien weapon in the desert, then gradually transforms into a green-skinned monster of rage and power. Sounds exciting, right? On paper, maybe. Behind the scenes, this was a patchwork production stitched together with duct tape and dreams. Director Michael Ray had a shoestring budget, but an endless supply of confidence. Most of the film was shot under blazing desert sun, with actors reportedly squinting their lines because there wasn't enough money for proper lighting. The stop-motion aliens, courtesy of a young David Allen, were actually impressive for their time, but the rest? Think drive-in spectacle meets student film chaos. Critics called it one of the worst Star Wars imitators ever made. Even Mystery Science Theater 3000 later tore it apart. But here's the twist. That ridicule gave it life. Its clumsy sincerity, amateur special effects, and offbeat energy turned it into a midnight movie favorite. Fans now celebrate it as the ultimate outsider sci-fi flick, the kind that dreams big and fails spectacularly. The legacy of Laser Blast isn't excellence. It's proof that passion, even misplaced, can glow brighter than polish. Number 11. The Man Who Fell to Earth, 1976. No film better captures the beauty of bewilderment than The Man Who Fell to Earth. It starred rock legend David Bowie in a role that felt like destiny, an alien stranded on Earth, seduced and destroyed by human excess. But what began as a haunting vision of isolation spiraled into one of the strangest, most divisive sci-fi experiences of the decade. Director Nicholas Roeg refused to make sense. He shot dream sequences out of order-edited conversations into riddles and left audiences wondering if the confusion was genius or mistake. The movie dripped with surreal imagery, goldfish bowls, falling elevators, glowing eyes, but lacked emotional rhythm. Critics were split down the middle. Some hailed it as art, others called it nonsense disguised as depth. Bowie himself later admitted he barely remembered filming it, adding to its mythic haze. But that alienation worked. His gaunt figure and distant stare turned the film into something hauntingly authentic, even if the pacing made viewers check their watches. The controversy surrounding its cryptic storytelling didn't sink it. It turned it into a legend. Decades later, The Man Who Fell to Earth stands as both masterpiece and misfire. It's a film you don't watch for coherence, you watch it to feel lost in someone else's fever dream. It's the art house cousin of every 70s space disaster proof that confusion delivered with conviction can sometimes look like brilliance. Number 10. The Shape of Things to Come, 1979. What happens when you borrow H.G. Wells's title but none of his ideas? You get The Shape of Things to Come, a Canadian-American co-production that looked like a school play trapped inside a disco ball. It promised a sweeping space epic about humanity's future. What audiences got was toy ship models' dialogue that sounded like intercom announcements and a robot named Sparks that looked like a silver trash bin on wheels. Director George McCowan hoped to ride the wave of Star Wars fever. The studio gave him a modest budget and big dreams. Within weeks, both fell apart. The sets were made of painted plywood. Miniature ships wobbled mid-flight. and the cast, including Jack Palance, delivered lines with Shakespearean gravity while surrounded by blinking lights from a hardware store. The result was hypnotic chaos too sincere to mock, outright too silly to ignore. Critics dismissed it instantly, but television saved it. Cheap to license, it played endlessly in late-night slots, slowly earning fans who adored its outdated effects and cosmic confusion. Today, The Shape of Things to Come feels like an artifact from a parallel universe, a glimpse into what sci-fi looked like before studios realized you couldn't fake a galaxy with cardboard. It's both charming and tragic, a time capsule from an era when every filmmaker wanted to conquer space, even if they could barely conquer gravity. Number 9. The Incredible Melting Man, 1977. You can't talk about So Bad It's Great without mentioning The Incredible Melting Man, a title that tells you everything and nothing all at once. The plot is simple. An astronaut exposed to cosmic radiation returns to Earth and begins to melt, literally. What follows is 90 minutes of goo confusion and accidental comedy that somehow earned a cult following strong enough to outlive its critics. Directed by William Sachs, the movie had one great advantage: makeup wizard Rick Baker. His melting skin effects were genuinely disturbing, far outshining the rest of the production. Unfortunately, everything surrounding them was chaos. The dialogue stumbled, the pacing crawled, and the acting hovered somewhere between soap opera and school play. Behind the curtain, creative clashes tore the film apart. Sachs wanted dark comedy. The studio demanded straight horror. The result was a tonal collision, half tragedy, half slapstick, all unforgettable. Censors trimmed several gruesome scenes, leaving viewers even more baffled by sudden jumps in plot. Yet time was kind. Modern audiences embraced it as unintentional art, praising Baker's work and laughing at the rest. Midnight screenings turned The Incredible Melting Man into an event, not just a movie. It's a perfect example of 70s ambition running wild, sincere overdone, and too weird to vanish. In the end, it proved that sometimes the biggest meltdown can create the brightest glow in cult cinema. Number 8. Yor, the Hunter from the Future, 1979. Some heroes swing swords. Yor swings logic, half caveman fantasy, half futuristic fable Yor. The Hunter from the Future tried to combine prehistoric adventure with space-age mystery and ended up inventing a genre no one asked for. The film opens with our muscular hero wandering a desert in a fur vest, battling dinosaurs that look like rubber mascots from a parade. Then halfway through, it suddenly transforms into a space opera featuring lasers, androids, and flying saucers. The plot twist wasn't clever. It was confusion turned into spectacle. Director Antonio Margheriti wanted to make something grand, but had only television movie money. Filmed in Turkey under grueling heat sets, collapsed costumes ripped, and dialogue was redubbed by people who clearly hadn't seen the scenes they were voicing. Yet through all that chaos, lead actor Reb Brown delivered every line with heroic sincerity, creating a character so cluelessly confident he became unforgettable. When it premiered, critics laughed it off as prehistoric pulp gone wrong. But television reruns in the 80s gave it new life. Kids loved the dinosaurs. Adults marveled at the absurd tone shift. Today, it's celebrated as one of the purest, so bad it's good experiences, a movie that fails in every category but still feels impossible to hate. Yor may not have found the future, but he carved a place in cinematic history simply by existing without shame. Number 7. Inframan, 1975. Before Marvel ruled theaters, Hong Kong's Shaw Brothers studio gave us Inframan, a psychedelic fever dream that mashed together superheroes, kung fu, and kaiju chaos into one glorious explosion of nonsense. Picture Power Rangers mixed with vintage martial arts energy, then multiply it by 10. The plot? Earth is under attack from Princess Dragon Mom, yes, that's her name, and her army of mutant creatures. The only hope is Inframan, a cybernetic hero equipped with rocket fists and enough jumping kicks to fill a highlight reel. Every frame screams enthusiasm, from flashing colors to cardboard monsters flipping in slow motion. Director Hua Shan approached it with straight-faced sincerity. He believed he was creating China's answer to Ultraman, and in a strange way, he did. The stunt work is jaw-dropping, the editing dizzying, the dialogue unintentionally poetic. At its release, critics didn't know what to make of it. Western audiences giggled at its campy costumes, while Eastern fans embraced its fearless imagination. Behind the scenes, performers endured heavy suits in scorching heat. Some fight scenes were filmed without proper safety measures, and production delays stretched schedules thin. Yet the cast pushed through, turning chaos into momentum. Over time, Inframan found its audience. Filmmakers like Quentin Tarantino have praised it as one of the most entertaining bad films ever made. It's proof that sincerity can overpower logic, and that unfiltered creativity, no matter how wild, has its own kind of magic. Inframan didn't just save the world, he saved the art of glorious imperfection. Number 6. The Visitor, 1979. If you mixed The Omen Close Encounters of the Third Kind and a glittery disco ball, you'd end up with The Visitor, a film so ambitious and baffling it feels like 10 genres fighting for screen time. Imagine a story where an angelic being battles a telekinetic girl under the watchful eye of space gods who look like they stepped out of a fashion magazine. That's not parody, that's the plot. Directed by Italian filmmaker Giulio Paradisi, the movie was supposed to be an American-Italian co-production bridging art and spectacle. What came out was pure confusion wrapped in divine lighting. John Huston, Shelley Winters, and even Sam Peckinpah appear each looking like they wandered onto the wrong set but decided to stay for the paycheck. The visual style is hypnotic. Rotating lights doves flying in slow-motion staircases to nowhere, and cosmic overlays that make no sense but somehow feel important. Critics at the time didn't know what to call it. A horror movie? A spiritual fable? An acid trip with a budget? The film was quickly banned in several U.S. cities due to legal disputes over music rights and its chaotic editing. Audiences who did see it were left stunned, whispering afterward, "What did we just watch?" But as the years passed, that confusion turned to fascination. Cult audiences embraced it for its unfiltered weirdness, praising it as a cinematic dream you can't wake up from. Modern viewers love it precisely because it defies explanation. It's too strange to be dismissed, too sincere to be mocked. The Visitor isn't a movie you understand, it's one you experience. And that experience is like looking directly into 70s cinema's glowing, delirious heart. Number 5. Starship Invasions, 1977. Before Close Encounters made aliens lovable, Starship Invasions tried to make them terrifying and failed spectacularly. Directed by Ed Hunt and starring Christopher Lee, it tells the story of two alien races fighting over humanity's future. Sounds grand, but when the spaceships look like cereal box toys and the lasers come straight from a high school projector, you know you're in for something special. The production aimed for serious science fiction, but had the energy of an overlong television pilot. Actors spoke their lines with noble conviction, surrounded by silver suits that looked borrowed from a marching band. Christopher Lee, ever the professional, delivered his role with Shakespearean gravitas, but even he couldn't save dialogue like, "We must stop the invasion of minds." Behind the camera, chaos ruled. Budget cuts forced reshoots with unfinished sets, and entire sequences were edited using stock footage from other films. The studio rebranded it multiple times to attract different audiences, first as War of the Aliens, then as Alien Encounter, and finally as Starship Invasions. None worked. Critics laughed. Drive-in theaters, however, adored it. It became an unintentional comedy hit, drawing crowds eager to watch Christopher Lee try to save the universe from cardboard villains. Today, the film stands as a symbol of mid-70s sci-fi excess, where sincerity was limitless and logic optional. It's too clumsy to be serious, too confident to be forgotten. Starship Invasions proves that when actors commit fully to nonsense, you don't get disaster, you get legend. Number 4. Damnation Alley, 1977. If Mad Max was chaos with style, Damnation Alley was chaos without brakes. Based on Roger Zelazny's novel, it follows a group of survivors crossing a post-apocalyptic America in an armored vehicle called the Landmaster. Sounds cool, and it is right up until the killer cockroaches show up. 20th Century Fox had high hopes. They poured millions into the production, hoping for the next great sci-fi hit. But delays, studio meddling, and clashing creative visions turned it into a nightmare on wheels. The special effects alternated between brilliant and baffling. Some scenes featured gorgeous matte paintings, while others looked like toy trucks rolling through sandboxes. Actors Jan Michael Vincent and George Peppard reportedly argued with the director about tone. Was it an adventure? A thriller? A comedy? No one knew, and the film shows it. The infamous cockroach sequence, meant to be terrifying, became unintentionally hilarious when audiences realized the bugs were peanuts painted black. The real tragedy came in timing. Star Wars released just months before Damnation Alley, instantly making its clunky effects look prehistoric. Fox shifted its marketing budget away, leaving the film to rot. Critics destroyed it, but years later, fans rediscovered its campy charm. Today, Damnation Alley is celebrated for its wild energy and spectacular vehicle design. The Landmaster, with its rotating wheels and oversized frame, became more famous than the film itself. It's a cinematic road trip through ambition, disaster, and pure 70s spirit, a journey so misguided it circles back to glory. Number 3. The Giant Spider Invasion, 1975. Sometimes the title tells you everything. The Giant Spider Invasion is exactly what it sounds like, a town under siege by enormous spiders that look suspiciously like fur-covered Volkswagen Beetles. Directed by Bill Rebane and filmed in Wisconsin, this low-budget spectacle turned rural America into a stage for cosmic terror and unintentional comedy. Rebane was a true independent dreamer. He financed the film through local investors, promising a sci-fi hit that would rival Hollywood. Instead, he created something far stranger and far more beloved. The special effects team built giant spider puppets by mounting car chassis under fake legs. When those spiders rolled down the streets, the illusion fell apart spectacularly, but the enthusiasm never did. Critics mocked it mercilessly. Yet audiences couldn't look away. The over-the-top acting, random subplots, and bold sincerity gave it a charm money can't buy. Even the film's clumsy attempts at science talk, "It's a reverse matter implosion," became quotes among fans. Behind the laughter was determination. The cast battled unpredictable weather power outages and endless reshoots, but no one gave up. Rebane saw the chaos as part of the adventure. He later said, "If it looks fake, it's because we believed it was real." Television reruns in the 80s cemented its cult status. Today, The Giant Spider Invasion is a beloved example of homemade science fiction that aimed for the stars and landed squarely in drive-in immortality. It proves that heart can outshine high-tech, and sometimes 8 legs are better than none. Number 2. Journey to the Far Side of the Sun, 1970. Before digital effects, filmmakers had to build imagination by hand. Journey to the Far Side of the Sun, produced by the creators of Thunderbirds, promised a bold concept. Astronauts discover a duplicate Earth orbiting on the opposite side of the Sun. What followed was less mind-blowing discovery and more slow-motion confusion. Directed by Robert Parrish, it was supposed to be Britain's answer to 2001, A Space Odyssey. Instead, it became a haunting, overly serious film weighed down by its own grandeur. The miniature models and spaceships were beautifully crafted, but the story moved at glacial pace. Audiences expecting adventure got philosophy delivered through long, silent stares and dialogue that could put coffee to sleep. Behind the scenes, tensions grew. Producers Jerry and Sylvia Anderson wanted sleek science fiction. The director wanted art house introspection. Their visions collided mid-shoot, resulting in a film torn between spectacle and symbolism. At release, critics were split. Some praised its eerie visuals, others called it empty spectacle. Box office numbers disappointed, but time reshaped its fate. Retro fans rediscovered it for its practical effects and eerie tone. The mirrored Earth twist, though predictable today, was groundbreaking then. Now, Journey to the Far Side of the Sun stands as a reminder of a strange cinematic middle ground, too serious to be fun, too strange to be forgotten. It's a dream of perfection that tripped over its own reflection. Number 1. A Boy and His Dog, 1975. No list of bizarre 70s sci-fi would be complete without A Boy and His Dog, a film that feels like it was made on another planet and sent to Earth as a warning, or maybe a joke. Directed by L.Q. Jones, it follows a young wanderer and his telepathic dog navigating a ruined future where civilization has collapsed into absurdity. The tone is impossible to pin down. One moment it's bleak and violent, the next it's oddly sentimental. The dialogue swings between dark comedy and total nonsense. Yet beneath the mess lies a strange charm, a mix of gallows humor and wild imagination that defined the decade. Don Johnson stars as the boy playing it straight amid chaos. His dog, voiced by actor Tim McIntyre, steals every scene with dry wit and impeccable timing. The underground society, designed to mimic old-fashioned America, turns the story into surreal satire. Critics didn't know what to make of it. Some found it shocking, others brilliant. The controversy around its tone overshadowed its creativity. But over time, the film gained cult respect, influencing later dystopian hits that borrowed its mix of cynicism and surreal humor. What keeps A Boy and His Dog alive isn't perfection, it's personality. It's scrappy, unpredictable, and unapologetically weird. Like the best of 70s cinema, it dared to be different, even if it stumbled doing it. It remains the perfect closing act for this list, the kind of film that makes you laugh, cringe, and think all at once. The 70s gave us science fiction that reached for the stars and often crash-landed in style. These films weren't just mistakes. They were experiments in imagination proof that creativity thrives even when reason fails. Maybe that's why we still watch them. They remind us that ambition, even reckless, leaves a mark. Which of these glorious misfires deserves a remake, or should they remain perfect in their imperfection? Drop your favorite below, and don't forget to subscribe for more cinematic deep dives.